The following review is intended for entertainment purposes and targeted for adult fans of the series.
I just hate the way they care. I barely even want to talk about these parts. We'll carry on in your radical memory, dude. Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and even if I don't feel much like celebrating, because a decision I made during my reviews of Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters to save my reviewers' energy ended up leading the Gatekeepers of Magic to removing inadvertently my radical narrator from existence, it is a time to celebrate. April 25th, 2020, the 8th episode of Power Rangers Beast Morphers 2.0, Secret Struggle, aired on Nickelodeon. Nearly 5 months later, Beast Morphers 2.0 is back to finish out its run. To be perfectly honest with you, heroes, I'm actually a little nervous about how these reviews are going to go over. You see, the majority of the fan base, even those that normally abstain, have already watched the show by downloading the international airings that recently have frustratingly always aired ahead of the country that produces the show. However, I, as usual, did not. As I have said, while I of course review Power Rangers for anyone who wants to watch my videos, I primarily review the show for the American television audience. And with very few exceptions, I don't review episodes until they have aired on television in the United States, and I know that everyone has had a fair shot at seeing them. But I didn't misspeak when I said the majority of the fan base has already watched these episodes. I saw the conversations on Twitter week to week. Very, very few people held out this time. So honestly, my only hope that these videos are going to do as well as they normally do rests on two possibilities. Number one, that my dedicated audience of viewers will want to know my personal opinion on the episodes. Number two, that the international airings were so long ago that even the people who have watched them have kind of already forgotten what really happened, and these reviews will serve as a good reminder.
Get on with it!
Enough blathering, there's work to be done. Heroes, let's take a look at the 9th episode, because Boxed In, the sports special, is the 21st episode by production number, of Power Rangers Beast Morphers 2.0, the Evox Snare. Please make sure you're subscribed to my channel to see all of my videos. Ring the bell, get your notifications set up so you're notified of whenever I post brand new videos. And if you'd like to lend any financial support to my channel, please consider checking me out on Patreon or Ko-fi at Orange Ranger Videos. Whoa! Right from the start, we get a really cool electrified lightning bolt logo animation, and last time on Power Rangers. Hey, imagine that! Hasbro realized that this episode would be coming out 5 months after the previous one, and the kids might just need a little reminder of what's going on. Golf clap, Hasbro. Golf clap. Hasbro sure knows the way to my heart, because literally the first person we see on screen after that recap is hot nameless technician lady. We think her name may be Joanne, but if the sources I'm looking up for that aren't sure of it, it very likely means that she is not named on screen for the entirety of this season.
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Anyway, Commander Shaw is making a citywide announcement. She says that Evox's virus may have corrupted the Grid Battle Force systems. So, all of the Morphex towers are being shut down, and all of the Morphex inside is being drained and returned to the morphing grid. It turns out, wisely, that the old electrical system is still there and is being temporarily reactivated. Devon asks Commander Shaw how they don't know that Evox has infected their systems. Didn't she just tell the people of the city that Evox had infected their systems? Interesting. But she says that they're looking things over. They then head to a briefing by Nate, Zoe, and Steele. Now knowing that Evox is using Mayor Daniel's body as a disguise, I'm not really sure why this is automatically the conclusion, and they completely dismiss the possibility that Evox has killed Mayor Daniels and is just using a holographic image of him. Besides this being Power Rangers, of course, they now know that he requires a massive amount of Morph-X on a regular basis to maintain that disguise and to overcome the corruption that human DNA does to his virus. This is the real reason that the towers are being shut down. They figure that when Evox hears that the towers are being shut down, he'll get so desperate for Morph-X that he'll show up at one of them personally. Then they can hit him with goofy prop arrow du jour. I really want to know which one of the writers is so obsessed with archery that we have gotten multiple one-off arrow props over the past couple of seasons at least. One-off arrow? Neat brand new weapon combination. The Beast X Ultra Cannon, which is a combination of the Ultra Blaster and the King Ultra Bow. Here to demonstrate our Ben and Betty. I barely even want to talk about this part. I did not miss these two. And again, if you like them, I'm sorry. I like the characters, I just hate the way they're used. The two of them wheel in a dummy that for some reason is dressed in a powder blue tuxedo. Zoe fires the arrow at it and it is encased in a solid block of ice that Steel says is as hard as diamond. However, when Ben and Betty hear that the ice is unbreakable, they realize they have trapped their father's tuxedo in the ice. Why did you put your father's tuxedo on the dummy? Why did the dummy need to be wearing anything? Why can't we go in the dog park?
Shut up or f*** off, ideally both in either order.
The two of them find a convenient jackhammer just sitting by the wall, so Ben grabs it and hops up on top of the ice, but indeed it seems to be unbreakable. He falls to the floor and then through the floor into a cavern below. Betty leans in saying she'll help him, but she falls in as well. And no, apparently neither of them are dead.
Moving right along.
I love how that really is basically the reaction of the other characters. They watch Ben and Betty flail their way around the super serious Grid Battle Force military establishment, and then when the two finally fall down, they stare at them for a second and then go, "So, back to the plot." Devon wants to know what happens after Evox is frozen, but Nate really isn't sure. He's been studying ways to separate Mayor Daniels from Evox, but it's not like Evox is there, so he really doesn't have anything to work with. Devon's not really satisfied with that answer, but Nate shoots back that he's been working around the clock trying to solve the problem, so maybe back off a little, okay? But Devon himself is not satisfied with the idea that his father could be frozen in ice indefinitely, saying that he'll find his own way to solve the problem and storming off. Commander Shaw reassures Nate that the arrow is a good idea and tells the team to get ready to deploy with it. Nate slips in under the door that he's been working on a way to combine the Lion, Gorilla, and Rabbit Zords, which would be really convenient if your Red Ranger was off sulking somewhere. Quick scene in the Crystal Light Dimension, just the bad guys hearing Commander Shaw's announcement about the Morph-X towers, and Evox telling Robo-Blaze and Robo-Roxy to do whatever is necessary to get him more Morph-X. There's a little stumble here in the story, and thinking through the episode, I don't think they ever really explain this. Why does Evox need to maintain the Mayor Daniels disguise? Mayor Daniels has been busted by Grid Battle Force, so everyone is going to know soon enough. Just boot Daniels out of your body, Evox, and get rid of the corruption.
I found a plot hole! Nurse!
You know one thing I didn't miss from Beast Morphers while I was reviewing Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters from a DVD? Commercials. Anyway, Devon is in some kind of archive room studying what he might be able to do. He sees a picture in the newspaper of him and his dad from the re-election campaign rally, and it warmly reminds him of the day his dad helped him out at the car wash.
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
Cruz walks in, dropping off some more records that Devon had asked for. Robbie sees Devon when the door opens for Cruz to leave and stops in to check on him. Heroes, I want you to mark this down. This is the moment. This is the time that Beast Morphers stops being just a regular season of Power Rangers and starts acting like an anniversary season. What progress has Devon made thus far? Well, he's discovered the case of a Black Ranger who was slowly turning into a cyborg until he was saved by a woman named Dr. K.
That is not spandex! The material is a self-assembling nano.
That's the one. Yeah, Devon has learned about Dylan, who, to be fair, was always a cyborg from the time he was captured by Venjix. He had a virus that was corrupting his programming, and that's what was fixed. At the end of RPM, he's still a cyborg. And the RPM Rangers. Robbie says, great, call her up, get her help. But Devon says that Dr. K has only been heard from a couple of times since then. Robbie breaks the truth down to Devon. If Dr. K cannot help him, they are going to have to use the arrow on Evox. Devon says that he knows, and it might be sooner than later, as Commander Shaw calls, saying she has deployed the decoy truck, and it's time. The truck drives out and is stopped by a Robotron that was created off-screen, Bulldozertron. Couldn't they have just gone with Dozertron? I'm going to go with Dozertron for the rest of this review. The Rangers show up, Devon drops another pithy one-liner, and they morph. They form their Beast X cannons and fire small, surprisingly weak-looking laser beams at the monster, who is tossed back. Dozertron has his front shovel split on his arms and can put them together to form a shield. He does that and starts bashing the Rangers around. Nate sees Blaze and Roxy's robo-duplicates teleport in with some tronics and make a play for the truck. He calls over to Steel and they run over to stop them. When I saw this as the preview clip on Twitter, I kind of mocked how the two just left the other three to the monster, but now in context, that was probably the plan to begin with. The two confront the Robos, who morph. They have a nice little one-liner back and forth, preventing the Robos from getting into the truck, but then Robo Blaze gets the upper hand on Steel. We cut back over to the main three Rangers, who activate Beast X mode. A combined punch knocks the monster back, and then a Cheetah Charge and a Jackrabbit Spin Strike finish the thing off, while Robbie runs over to help Nate and Steel. If you saw my review of the last episode of Tattoo Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills, you might remember that I got a little caught up in the whole Nimbar knows that Gorganis knows that Nimbar knows that Gorganis knows that, etc., etc. Well, we've got the same thing going on here. The Robos and Tronics take over the truck, so Steel is forced to destroy it. Commander Shaw shows up and congratulates them, but says now there is a new problem. Tower 5 is not draining. The Rangers say they'll have to guard it then, but Commander Shaw feels like that would put too much of a target on it. Instead, they'll leave it completely unguarded and let Evox think that it's been drained just like the others. However, Scrozzle is hiding in front of another truck nearby and teleports away to share the good news with Evox. However, Zoe was hiding on top of that truck and goes back to tell the Rangers that Scrozzle has taken the bait. Plans within plans within plans! Right on schedule, Joanne calls Shaw to tell her that a Gigadrone is inbound right at Tower number 5. But also, they seem to be getting a trans-dimensional phone call from a woman named Dr. K? Robbie explains to his mother that it's very important that Devon takes this phone call. She tells Robbie, Zoe, and Steel to go form Nate's new Megazord combination and deal with the Gigadrone. Devon's gonna head back to the base and take the call. Remember, if it's collect, reject the charges. And Nate is going to go back to base as well and develop a second Hyper Freeze arrow. Which means when they froze that dummy, they used the only arrow they had.
You're stupid.
Right after that, we get a huge, legitimate error in this episode that you have probably likely heard about and seen by now. If I could use screen caps in these reviews, I'd be happy to show you. Thanks, Hasbro. Remember how I said that Devon is heading back to the base to answer the phone? Well, apparently he doubled back to drive the Lion Zord out as we see Zoe, Ravi, and Devon in their cockpits.
You done f***ed it up!
They form the Beast X King Megazord, and now Steel is back in the Lion cockpit exactly like he should be. Proving my point from that last episode review of Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters, they have a Zord fight that was not nearly as entertaining as Nitron's fight with Gorganas. It lasts maybe 15 seconds, and then the Megazord makes like a Gyarados and uses a Hyper Beam to finish off the Robotron. 450 experience, 225 Poke.
I wonder what Pokemon it is.
Back at the base, Dr. K is telling Devon that there's nothing she can do. And it is actually Dr. K, Olivia Tennant, making a guest appearance in this episode. I've got to say, it was a little bit weird seeing her having matured, for lack of a better term, and acting as the character Dr. K. That was interesting. Anyway, by the by, Devon was speaking to her on an iMac. I happen to know that very well because I actually just purchased one, and the screens are identical. Anyway, Devon begs her, saying this is his father. Like that fact would suddenly make something that she has access to just work. It doesn't, of course, but she did say she read about something. Once upon a time, there was a ranger named Xenowing, the Dino-charged Silver Ranger to be precise. He was trapped sharing a body with an evil creature called Doomwing. The Dino-charged Rangers invented devices called split emitters to separate the two. Devon heads to the lab as Nate finishes the second arrow. Devon finds the other Rangers and they update him on the situation, telling him that now Evox can only get that Morph X by going to Tower number 5 himself. Dang, if only he weren't prevented by narrative convenience from sending more than one Gigadrone in the same episode. Devon asks Nate about the split emitters, and he says they should be in his Ranger vault, as we're about to see, or you're about to hear about, I guess. Nate has old Ranger technology and uses it for inspiration on new ideas, but he doesn't know where in the room they are, and if Devon finds them, they'll likely be depowered. So Nate gives him some Morph X to power them back up. Shaw tells the Rangers to get the lead out, and they head out with Devon starting to look. Devon sees an exhausted Ben and Betty walking by and asks for their help, with Betty enthusiastically agreeing, Ben not so enthusiastically. He tells them that they're looking for split emitters and they enter the Ranger Vault, which is basically Hasbro's display at Power Morphicon. Heroes, I'm telling you, from the very first shot that I paused, I saw Ninja Steel's Ribbit Rifles and Sword, an MMPR Blade Blaster, an RPM Cloud Hatchet. This room is full of old Ranger technology. Ben points out a Thundermax Blaster from Dino Thunder. Betty points out Mystic Morphers from Mystic Force. Ben points out Cell Shift Morphers from RPM. And I'm starting to wonder what all of this stuff is doing here. Weapons are one thing. You part with a blaster here or there, a single one, it's not that big a deal. Morphers? I have a theory that these are not the genuine article, but more like duplicates. Not just mock-ups or anything, like functional copies, but only to a certain extent. Simulations of the actual thing. Just not the actual Morphers themselves. Why would a team like Mystic Force just give 2 of their Morphers to Grid Battle Force, even if they're not using them anymore? Anyway, Betty ensures that the 2 of them are useful this time, or at least she is, as she finds the split emitters. Devon tells the 2 to charge them up with the Morph X, and here's the rest of the plan. The other Rangers are at the tower, where Evox indeed shows up. Couldn't have been the Robos again, couldn't have been Scrozzle, had to be Evox. Okay. Nate fires the arrow at Evox, but he just stops it in midair with the Force, turning it around and sending it back to them, and they dive out of the way just in time. Then Devon shows up, unmorphed because of Shut Up, and demands that Evox stop. But Evox is an evil genius. It turns out he does still have a reason to keep that body around. He turns back into Mayor Daniels and uses his voice to beg his son to let Evox pass. Evox is going to die without this Morph X, and if Evox dies, so does Mayor Daniels. The Rangers beg Devon not to listen, but he turns and lets his father pass.
That ain't true! That's not true!
Then we see a smirk on Devon's face. Ben calls and says that the emitters are ready, and he asks them to teleport them in. They land right around Mayor Evox. Devon activates them, and indeed, they split the Mayor and Evox back apart. The Mayor and his son embrace, while Scrozzle embraces his inner alpha, going, "Ay, ay, ay," and getting Evox out of there. Back at the base, Shaw very wisely tries to get any useful information she can out of Mayor Daniels, but he doesn't remember anything useful. He thanks the Rangers for saving him, but Nate says that their plan failed, and only Devon didn't give up on saving him. Meanwhile, Ben and Betty have taken the split emitters to try to split the tucks from the ice, which, to be honest, is one of the first thoughts I had when I saw the split emitters. Their father is now with them, and hijinks ensue as they don't ensure that the field is clear before activating the emitters, and the three of them start switching back and forth, in and out of the ice, in and out of each other's clothes, etc., before Devon runs in and gets it all straight. Though Ben does end up in his father's uniform, having him joke that he must have gotten a promotion.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
I wanted to say, let's throw some shades since this is the first review back and not just go from the cutaway gag straight into the pros and cons. So I will take this chance to re-explain a change that I made at the end of the Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters reviews that I'm carrying over to Power Rangers reviews in general. I will not be going back over the pros and cons after I relay them. My plot summary should have done a good job of that already, and it just saves some time in the video. That being said, let's throw some shades. Episode 9, the Evox Snare. Pros, very clever thinking and planning from the Rangers, genuine emotion and conflict in the team, and the crossover content begins. Cons, the villains aren't up to much, the plot almost gets too convoluted, and the really bad editing mistake with Devon. Beast Morphers, I have missed you. The Evox Snare gets 4 shades out of 5. Beast Morphers is back, and this reviewer couldn't be happier. Let's take a peek at the 10th episode of Beast Morphers 2.0, Intruder Alert. The Rangers receive a strange message from outer space, warning of an impending threat. Now, Devon must try to trust a new ally in order to save the lives of his friends. Oh, sounds like they'll be having a good time during that one. That's going to do it for another Power Rangers Beast Morphers 2.0 episode review. Thank you, heroes, so much as always for watching, and it is amazing to have this great show back, finally. If you didn't watch any of my Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills episode reviews, I would really humbly ask that you at least go back and watch the last one, number 40, It's a Gorganis Life, which just came out recently. I worked really hard on that one, and it was kind of an eventful day. Dang, just made myself sad again. Anyway, make sure to let me know what you thought of this episode, as well as my review of it, down in the comments below. And while you're down there, make sure you smack that thumbs up button and let me know that you enjoyed this video. Until next time, heroes, may the power protect you. As I have said, I primarily review Power Rangers for the American television audience. I, however, did not. With very few exceptions, I don't review episodes until they're of the Ultra Blaster and the Beast X King Ultra Bow. I'm doing that again, that was terrible. But when Ben and Betty hear that that is the case, they realize that they have trapped their father's tuxedo in a solid block of ice. The two of them find a convenient... That's the one. Yeah, Devon has learned about Dr. K and Dylan. However, Scrozzle is standing in front of the truck nearby, in front of the truck that was destroyed, is standing in front of another truck, is hiding to separate the two people, them.